Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Contractor panel. I am the MC for this session. Hopefully, we save the best for last. Um, my name is Jack Paluchek. I am an energy efficiency consultant for Eversource on the large commercial industrial team, and I'm joined by some very talented individuals in the energy efficiency field. So, to get us started, I'm sure you've heard it plenty of times today, but please use the Q&A button to get your questions answered. This is mostly a discussion, so if you want to hear from vendors that work with these programs, that now is the time to do it. Um, and sort of introductions from here. Megan, if you want to start with your name and role and company, that would be
Sure.
great.
Okay. Megan Hoy I'm a program manager at Franklin Energy, and I help customers on the C&I process incentives for Liberty.
Great. And then Kristen, if you could go next, that'd be awesome.
Yep. Hi, my name is Kristen Bonney, and I've been involved in the small commercial program for many years through different companies, including being an Eversource employee. And now I work at Willdan, who processes the small business customer directed option projects for Eversource.
And last but not least, Russ.
Hi there, Russell Hunt, President LCI Energy. LCI Energy is relatively new. We started in the space in 2024, providing full service energy management and design build energy solutions. But previous to that, I was 11 years at Eversource. So I hope to bring a combined perspective to this conversation.
Thank you. Um, and I know after all of the sessions today, people are curious if they haven't worked with our programs before, why should I work with NHSaves? How does it benefit my company? How does it benefit our customers? The first question I have that, anyone can go first, is sort of a two-part question. First part is, how have you found success in working with our programs? And the second part is very general. How can energy efficiency drive business? And it'd be great to have sort of a customer and a vendor um, segment there.
Sure, I can go first if that works. And so Uh, one of the best ways to work with the Eversource programs is to be proactive in the way that you're looking at these energy efficiency projects. So, Megan can talk about the gas side, but Eversource, if you're working with a customer, they're Eversource Electric, you can submit any type of job that saves kWh. So you can do lighting controls, VFDs, transformers, pumps, motors, all different types of measures that can save electricity. And if a building is electrically heated, you can also do a weatherization job. So, but being proactive is the best way. So to contact myself at Willdan for Eversource jobs ahead of you going to the site and helping us understand what your plan is there and to make sure that the site that you're going to is qualified for the small business program. So that is one of the things that Willdan does up front is so you make sure that you understand what they're eligible for and what the opportunities are for. So some of the best projects that we're seeing come through right now are adding VFDs to HVAC systems, electric HVAC systems, and then swapping out old, inefficient behind the meter transformers. It's like from 30 kVA up to 500 kVA. So it's a pretty big range of electric savings that you can have. But those are two of the measures that we're seeing having success getting a high incentive rate right now.
I can take it. So on gas, similar weatherization's definitely an opportunity. ERVs are an opportunity. boilers, retro commissioning, all of that. For Liberty, Rise Engineering is the contractor that you should reach out to on that, and definitely earlier is better, just as Kristen was saying. Um, Here to help walk you through all of the steps. And it's not just small business, but large business municipals. And on the electric side on Liberty, it would be Franklin Energy who could help you. And all of the measures that Kristen just mentioned are all excellent.
Yeah, and if I could add maybe from a contractor perspective, definitely I think the call early, call often sentiment is good advice. Uh, as a contractor, you might be facing many different opportunities with a lot of different customers, and so it's really hard to know what's the incentive going to be on this, and you don't want to overpromise and underdeliver to the customer. So it's again very easy just to give the utility representative a call, just say, hey, this is what I'm going into. What do you think? What do you think is going to be the type of support for these types of projects? So that's really helpful. Where LCI has really found success and it's to the point where it's really our go-to-market strategy, which is heavily sort of hand in glove with the utility. As we often lead with compressed air leak surveys with industrials, with manufacturers. A lot of reasons for that, but the utility program is really supportive of that, and they've been really hustling right alongside us so we can put together a proposal and get it over to the utilities. They're turning those around really quickly for approval, and then our guys are out there doing leak surveys and then going to repairs. So it's sort of our door knocker entry point. And it really requires that level of partnership, and we're really getting it. So it's been a huge help.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And I sort of heard EE technology in every statement here, which leads me to my next question. Are there any examples of energy efficiency technology that have that people have or have not been submitting recently that you think is something that people should be paying attention to in the market?
Well, on the Eversource side, the program, I feel like for a long time was sort of known as a lighting program, and some of the other measures were just submitted as an aside. So I've spent the last year and a half really trying to talk to people and help them understand that there's a lot of opportunities. It's not just lighting. That's what the program, I think, the customers and the contractors got used to for many years because that was the turnaround of what we were doing. But we there are some things that have to come in as custom, but we do still have quite a bit of prescriptive opportunity for all the things that I mentioned before. And then on the custom side, if you have a job that's comprehensive, that is going to bring through several measures at the same time, or something that's not specifically listed on the NHSaves site, you can still bring that to us. And then I work with the Eversource engineer directly to process that back and forth. So for Eversource, Wildan is in charge of doing that paperwork and doing the interaction with the Eversource team. So the contractor just has to give Wildan the information and then we take it from there. So the process is net simpler than it used to be before too. So now that we're this middleman, we handle all that back and forth and we help the engineer to determine what the overall savings is and then what the incentive is. So there's just a lot more opportunities now. And really, we welcome any type of job to be submitted. And then we do a review and let you know what it's eligible for.
Ditto.
Uh, one thing that we're always on the lookout for is system optimization, and controls. That's something where we find that the utility incentive support can go a long way to really hitting a short payback that can frankly turn a no into a yes, that can hit customers, even those customers that have a really strict payback threshold, that often we can hit those. So we're looking for buildings that they've got HVAC units, they've got rooftop units, but they're all individually, thermostat controls. So, good opportunity for building management systems. Then just looking at going back to, manufacturers, looking at their manufacturing support systems like chilled water and compressed air. And again, not so much looking at replacing compressors and major capex, because that's, that's there's going to be a limit to how much utility incentive dollars can go on top of that and make that super attractive unless it's end of life. Um, but again, just how is it operating and how to control that system better. Those projects end up being pretty lucrative and something that the utilities can really support well.
Yeah, and I wanted to go back to a previous point that was made that, you need to call early and call often with the NHSaves program. There's the bulk of the program in large commercial industrial is custom. And because of that, I think a good distinction is that it's an incentive program, not a rebate program after the fact. So the incentives are meant to incentivize customers to make more energy efficient decisions than they otherwise would without that money. So if you're ever struggling to put together a project scope, or the customer's not sure where to go or what equipment to install, please engage us early. We have very talented contractors and engineers that can help develop those projects. So I see a hand up in the audience. Joe, I'm gonna click this allow to talk button and let me know if you can speak. You should be able to.
I apologize. I didn't mean to raise my hand.
Joe,
No
we thought you
worries.
had something important to say.
No. No, and I thought I might have clicked it, but then it didn't show up yellow, so I assumed.
All right.
Well, just for the audience, if you don't know Joe Layeski, he's an energy efficiency consultant over at Unitil and a great guy to call if you're working in that territory.
Yeah. Um, so want, you know, I don't want you to give away your trade secrets, but one thing that vendors are always interested in learning is, have you found a specific customer segment that needs help and that you have found success in working in? And if so, you know, how have you succeeded in doing that? Have you utilized the utilities help or have you done it on your own? I'm curious.
So prior to working at Franklin, I worked for a turnkey lighting company. And in that capacity, and small businesses, no matter what, need help. They're harder to get to, but they always need help. Um, then there's what a sweet spot was that mid-sized customer, not the people who understood the technology, understood they need something, but they don't have the resources to get it all put together on their own. So historically, that mid-size customer, maybe with New Hampshire Saves, under 200 kW is considered small, but that 100 to 200 kW size is a pretty big one, where they're in that middle ground of knowing what they want, but needing a little help to get there.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah.
It's a great customer size for us. That size, again, for us, we'd probably even go a bit bigger up to maybe 1,000 kilowatts, megawatts. But as long as they still have local command and control, so you can have if it makes money, it makes sense kind of conversation with them. And like I said, they're mostly just drowning. They're trying to focus on their core mission. They don't have enough help. If you can go in there and be somebody that they really trust, then there's a great partnership, I think, available. I really think they're waving their arms.
Yeah.
They're looking for good help.
And I do think it's important to clarify, in New Hampshire, the difference between small business and large business. We look at the individual meters on the building. So we look for the demand to be average over the last 12 months of below 200 kW. So some pretty large buildings can actually qualify for small business. And then
Yeah.
especially if they haven't like aggregated all of their meters into one account. So for any of contractors that are listening that worked in Massachusetts, it is done differently in New Hampshire. So those larger, like good mid-size jobs are still considered small business in New Hampshire for Eversource, where in Massachusetts, it most likely would kick them into large. So it's just something to remember that New Hampshire, you do have the opportunity to do a lot of really good projects in those mid-size range.
Yeah, that's a good point. Um, in from my perspective, um, like Russ said, I think the area where people are needing help are the small business to the mid-size customers. There are the large customers that, are progressive and corporately run, but they understand energy. They have teams dedicated to it. Where we are seeing the need is with the owner operators throughout the state that don't have time to address it. They're focusing on keeping the lights on, they're focusing on keeping the product going out the door, and they're focusing on keeping a workforce, which is harder and harder these days. So, um, if any vendor is interested in branching out into a new sort of customer sector, please feel free to reach out to any of us. We're happy to walk you through it. Um, Happy to outline how the program can help drive business, not only for you, but for the customer. Um, that's what we love doing. So please reach out anytime. You'll have our contact info after this session. One other question I had was sort of testimonials. I know that people love to hear stories and real life examples of how energy efficiency can work. Does anyone have a go-to testimonial that they would like to share that you think people would enjoy hearing?
I have one. Um, this is not my story. It's one of my colleagues' stories. So I apologize to him if I get this wrong. But it was a very small business, a local pizza owner. So the pizza place that all the teams go to, all the little the little kid teams go to after they win. And they had a HVAC equipment that was at end of life, and they really wanted to do something better than what they had, and they were hoping to. Their contractor worked with them. They'd worked with us in the past. They had he put together a package for them, worked with us to make sure it qualified, but it was just too much. That project was just too much for them to be able to do. So what ended up happening is they came back and asked if there was any additional support we could give. We let them know about the on-bill financing program, and Liberty was able to add in a little bit of additional incentive money. So between on-bill financing and the additional incentive, the customer was able to take advantage of the program, has a much more comfortable space for people to go in. And for the contractor, that relationship that he's developed with us to know that he can ask those questions and we can help him allows him on the next round to be the next customer to be able to say with confidence, hey, we can probably help you. So it's a great selling point for him. It was a great selling point for Liberty. All around, everybody happy, good deal.
Yeah, I've got a couple. One of them just sort of jumps out. There's a small business customer that we work with, and they had just bought a big building. So they're a small business customer that's becoming a mid-size customer. And they're new to having a large commercial building and the commercial HVAC. And when they bought the building, they didn't quite understand that it didn't have a building management system. There was no real controls on their HVAC unit, so they were running it basically manual on off, basically through the breaker. But again, they had just bought the building. They're still moving in, a lot of money going out the door. And so through the utility program, we were able to put together a modest controls project that the utilities really helped buy down the cost to make it very palatable for them to put in controls with a short payback and really reduce that pain point and start enjoying the savings right away. It was a quick turnaround, so they were able to reduce their heat savings. They reduced their natural gas burn for this really intense winter. We've had another one not too long ago where it was a large weatherization project at a manufacturer, and the payback was okay. It's weatherization work, so you're not talking 1 year payback projects, but the savings last a long time. But we couldn't get the customer couldn't get the capital approved. The payback was just too long, and we went back with the utilities, just basically shared open dialogue that challenge, and actually the utilities were able to work through and improve the incentive package to be able to meet the customer's requirements for CapEx approval. So that was a huge win.
And then we at Eversource worked with a customer, a small business customer that was focusing on decarbonization. So they worked with us to talk about what they could do on the efficiency side in their building before they got a review for solar panels being added. So we talked about how they could reduce their current load in the building and then also help them receive incentives for heat pumps at the same time. So the heat pumps were a separate application versus the efficiency in the building, but we were able to run them all at the same time. So then the small business owner could understand what their actual energy usage of the building was going to be.
Yeah, and Kristen, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I've heard you say we at Eversource a few times. Could you
Oh,
just give the elevator speech of Will Dan and the CDO program to anyone that might not understand it?
yes. Sorry, as soon as I said it, I was like, oh, that's not what I'm supposed to be saying. Uh,
Totally fine.
so Willdan has been hired by Eversource as a third-party contractor to process and manage the applications through the program. So I'm a program manager at Willdan, but I work with the contractors bringing through projects for Eversource customers. So, but like I said earlier, I used to be an employee of Eversource, so sometimes my brain just kicks back to that. But
Yeah,
yes, Willdan is the third party company, and we're the ones that engage with Eversource staff.
and Megan, I think you were gonna say something.
I
I
am.
wanted
Real
to
quick.
make that point. Yeah, that'd be great.
Just real quick, you're hearing, there's Kristen and Eversource and Megan and Liberty and Rise and everyone. Just know for everyone out there that we all know each other and you can reach out to any of us and we will get you to the right person.
Right.
Yeah, and then Megan, could you just quickly describe,
Yeah.
I know you did it, just what your relationship is with
Yes.
Liberty and Rise and Franklin?
Yes. So we are also a third party contractor with Liberty for Franklin Energy. We work do the exact same thing that Kristen's doing with Eversource customers. We're doing that with Liberty Electric customers, and it's soup to nuts. We're helping with outreach, helping process all the incentives. We anything you guys need, we help put together. Rise is that same entity for Liberty Gas.
Great, thanks. And that sort of segues into my next question, which is a lot of the time we engage customers and vendors that don't really know where to start. I know there's plenty of different answers and they're probably all correct, but in your opinion, where do you think a good place to start is if you're a customer or a vendor looking to take advantage of energy efficiency projects?
I could go.
Yeah.
Again, I think it starts with if you don't know where to start, like if you don't know where your energy is going in your facility, I would just reach out to the utilities and say, hey, can you send out somebody who's actually expert at helping me understand where my energy is going? What are these things that then end up coming back through to my utility bills? Electric, gas. They can even provide insight on, this is where my oil or propane is going. And then once you have an understanding of what my big energy consumers are and what are those things that, hey, that's just kind of part of the cost of doing business, and what are the things that I can really affect? Again, the utilities have that expertise. So I would reach out to the utility and first get an understanding of where your energy is going, and then start to, put together a game plan, and they can help you with that.
Right. And then Eversource has a general New Hampshire efficiency mailbox that one of the speakers earlier, Jessie, she manages. So when people submit questions and applications to that mailbox, she looks up the account and everything and then sends it to the right person. So if it's a small business uh, project, she would send that to me. And then if it's not, she would dole it out to the right person. So it's good to always just start with that, and then she'll send it out to the right group for Eversource projects.
Great point.
Liberty also has a mailbox, so if you're not getting to us directly, it will go. I know Bob Reels reviews them, and he'll send them to who needs to see it.
Yeah, and like Megan said, we're constantly collaborating and communicating with each other. So if you're not sure, just reach out to someone. We want to make it easy to engage with these programs, hence, the beauty of Wildan and the CDO program and Liberty and Rise and Franklin. We all talk to each other, so don't feel overwhelmed at the amount of people that are a part of this. One question I had that sort of relates to general market uncertainty that is happening lately. I am kind of seeing customers try and hoard their acorns, but that's the beauty of this program is we can provide value, um, financial value to help them move forward with projects, even during a tough market. So uh, are there any external financing mechanisms that anyone here has used before to help customers move forward with, large capital projects?
So there is the organization NEIF, and they have set up relationships with some of the parties to help the customers process larger projects that are not eligible for on-bill financing. So they have a really great team. They've been working with the utilities for years now. So there is an opportunity there. And then the incentive is looped into part of the loan package. So there's quite a few financing opportunities, but it's very important to remember that those just need to be pre-approved before you start any, installations or anything.
Yeah, and I mentioned external financing, but also internal. If anyone has, an example of that, please feel free to speak up. I know it was mentioned during Jesse's section about small commercial and financing as well.
Yeah, so the example of the case study that I gave, they used Liberty's on-bill financing option, so it's 0% on-bill, very low hurdle rate to get in. The term, I think it went from 3 years, they bumped it up to 4 years to just make it more affordable, basically. But it's an amazing program, so available to municipal, commercial. There's a up to 50,000, but definitely something that all of the contractors, you should all be aware of it. Use it. It will help you sell projects. And
And the goal is
CDSA
not,
also has money.
yeah, the goal of that is to make the customer cash neutral. So we use
Yeah.
the payback of the project to pay back on their bill. So they'll see their existing bill stay the same, And then once you get past the loan period, then they'll go and they'll start seeing their actual savings on the bill. So it's meant to help them with their operation budget.
One of the things that we'll do sometimes is to have the utility incentive consigned to us, the contractor, so that the customer is really only seeing, we're only then having to quote the net price. And again, sometimes the incentive is fairly substantial. So just having the customer see the net price can often, turn that no into a yes.
Yeah, great point. And while we're on the topic of financials, Eversource has this comprehensive program that we like to emphasize. I know Kristen mentioned bundling, Russ mentioned enhanced incentives. The beauty of the custom program is that we can help people move forward with projects on a more flexible basis than, say a prescriptive incentive that's already outlined um, on an application that you can find on the NHSaves website. I know the examples were already mentioned, but are there any other examples of you guys helping customers engage with the program through sort of a bundled approach or an enhanced incentive?
From our point of view, or on the Liberty side, we are we're there hopefully to make things easier for everyone. We understand that sometimes there's lots of different circumstances that are happening. So we try to take each case individually, look at it individually. If the savings can support additional incentives, then that's something that is considered. So it's like a white glove treatment. We try to treat everyone with care and help everyone have a win.
Yeah, and when we review the Eversource applications coming through, we're looking at basically the cost benefit
Right.
analysis of the savings versus the overall cost. And then if that is looking pretty good, then we have a case by case conversation with the Eversource representatives to see if there's an opportunity there, which we have been able to do in some cases in the past.
Yeah, great point. Um, One question I've had from vendors personally, mostly new vendors engaging, is how do I sell projects to customers? What's a good sales strategy? Like, should I be cold calling? Should I be door knocking? Should I call the utility and ask them for specific information? What's your opinion on sort of the best strategy for new vendors to get into the door in the New Hampshire market?
I could take a swing at this one. So, uh, for us, getting in the door is always the hardest thing when it's a mid-size and above customer because there's always vendors trying to get in. But I say, once you get in, sell without selling, right? Serve the customer, find the genuine opportunities and provide a solid solution. I think if you take the perspective of, you won't sell what you wouldn't buy, and you're genuinely in there to help the customer and let's say less transactional approach, then I think you can do really well in the New Hampshire marketplace. If it's a very transactional approach, I think that New Hampshire marketplace is a tough place to operate in. So customer service first, uh, looking out for the customer first. You put that priority out there, and I think you can do really well.
And if we have someone come to us and say, we've made this offer to this customer, they are concerned because they've gotten, maybe some bad actors in the past trying to get them to do something in relation to energy efficiency, and the other vendor like misrepresented themselves. I always encourage contractors to contact me, and then I loop in the Eversource staff that is in charge of the CDO program, Pat Owens, and then Pat can send the customer an email with, his Eversource information saying, yes, this is a valid offer. This is how the process works. I'd be happy to talk to you. So the utilities are good about saying, backing up the contractors, saying, yes, this is a thing that we will help you move forward with, and this is how the process works.
Yeah, and Megan, you hit it right on the head with the white glove service comment. Um, I know that our vendors try and provide the best service they can to their customers, but that's something that the utilities and the NHSaves partners also pride ourselves on is we want to give the customer the most streamlined personal experience possible. So if you're a vendor and you're struggling to sell a project, just engage the utilities. We're more than happy to call the customer who we've probably already had a relationship with in the past, and we're more than happy to go on site with you and drive energy efficiency at scale because there's only so many places that the utilities can be at once, which is why we love our vendor partners and we know that you're out there. So if you need help, whether in person or virtually, just please reach out. We're happy to do it. I wanted to go back to a previous question, which I asked, which was where do we start? I know Russ, you said loop in the utility early, and I just want to echo that you don't need to be an expert engineer as a vendor to identify opportunity with your customers. Kristen mentioned it, the utilities will support a energy audit or an on-site assessment to identify these opportunities. We do that with our contracted, engineering vendors. The beauty of doing that as an implementation vendor, a vendor who sells projects and implements them, is that you can still implement the project. If you wanted to do the audit yourself and have us pay you for it, we then tell you you can't implement the project then. It has to be separate. So if you want to sell projects and implement them, please call us. We will help you identify the opportunity. We will help your customer move forward with the project that you are selling. I highly encourage that because we have engineering experts and that's their job. You do not need to be an engineer. So I just wanted to make that point. Are there any questions from our panelists that you want to put me on the spot or ask the utilities in general?
I think, what got brought up earlier was that we're in the final year of our current plan, and the new plan will start next year. So, do you think there'll be any enhancements or upgrades to what we're able to offer incentives on?
Uh, Sort of like what Megan said, that'll be on a case by case basis. And, mostly those have to be custom projects. They tend to be large, capitally intensive projects. I would encourage anyone to reach out if they are currently stuck and we can have the conversation of the best path forward. Again, that's a case by case basis. And, yeah, we can definitely help move things forward if they're stuck. So please reach out, I would say.
Jack, what do you wish contractors knew about their program that they just don't seem to understand?
Yeah, that's a great question. I do a lot of educating. Yes, holistically, programmatically on what technologies we can offer incentives on, but that's just an endless list of technology that we can support. As long as it saves energy, we can incentivize it at a high level. But really, the point that I want to hit home is the point I made earlier that it's an incentive program and not a rebate program. So you have to engage us early. We want to help you make more energy efficient decisions than you would beforehand. If you listened to Mike Laughlin's new construction session earlier, that program works above and beyond code. It's very similar with retrofit and new equipment. We want you to go above and beyond to save energy and reduce the load on the grid. That's the goal of the NHSaves program. Great question. One last question I had here, which is open to interpretation, but if there was an easy button to getting funding for my projects, what would that look like?
So when we process the applications for the Eversource, we provide a checklist of things that we need. So Willdan prepares the actual application and is submittal into the Eversource system, but we do need the actual data on the project, including where it's going to be installed, usually spec sheets for what's going to be installed, what the existing conditions are. So I would say rather than go to the project and then ask us after you've already been there, like ask us for the checklist before you go, so you know exactly what you're looking for on site.
A lot of times we end up, or we don't end up, we're happy to do it for more the prescriptive applications. Really, if we need something so that we can put the package together, so we can put everything together. But if you give us something that has if you get me the model number, get me the quote, I can look up all the required documentation. We can look up whether it's an AHRI certificate or a DLC listing. We can do all that on your behalf. So there's just the basic information, and it's usually, what are you installing, model number, how much is this thing costing, and really, I think that's it in some cases, because everything else, but that we can figure out.
Yeah, having been on both sides of it at the utility and now as a contractor, I would say the easy button is communication. It's there's zero expectation that the contractor marketplace needs to memorize and understand every in and out of the program. So just reach out to the utility, and they want to have a conversation. Hey, this is who I'm seeing. This is the type of project I'm looking at. What kind of information should I be, starting to gather up from the field for you guys that you're going to need, and then keep that open dialogue. I think that is the easy button.
Yeah, definitely communication. If someone, asks me for support on a project and all they give me is a written scope of work, I will then ask from you for what we need next. So communication is definitely the easy button. Just reach out and then we will guide you through it.
I'm just going to say one thing because I feel bad. We've been talking Liberty and Eversource a lot, but New Hampshire Electric Co-op and Unitil both are awesome and can provide all the same help and white glove treatment that we're talking about.
Great point.
Yeah, everything I've said, definitely applies to all the utilities. We've enjoyed fantastic partnership with really everybody in the state.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for joining the end of what was a great NHSaves business partner event. I will say it one more time. Please just reach out to anyone that was presenting today. We're more than happy to distribute and shepherd as needed, but we're here to help you and your customers. So if you want to talk, just reach out. Thank you very much for our panelists and all the guests for joining.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Great.
Take care.
Thanks.